Good morning on this warm day in Boston. Snow is melting. Today is Tu B'Shvat, special holiday. We had services today. We read the Torah and we celebrated. What do we celebrate on Tu B'Shvat? We celebrate the Rosh Hashanah La'ilanot, the New Year for the trees. You know, as we sing in Hebrew, Rosh Hashanah Higiya Chag La'ilanot, the holiday for the trees. But the question is, trees start blossoming, so why are we celebrating Tu B'Shvat now? And the answer is a very important one, because you see, in Israel, Tu B'Shvat is the time of the year when most of the rain has already ceased. Israel has a very short season of rain, and most of it has already passed at this time. And therefore, the trees are filled with the sap and the potential to be able to blossom and grow and bear fruit and leaves and foliage and flowers and all the beautiful stuff that will come later. So although, yes, you only see it in June, we celebrate Tu B'Shvat now because of the potential is already there. And it's a super important holiday because it teaches us not only to rely on what your eye sees, but to be able to see the potential in the things that we do. And that's why it's associated with children, because children, sometimes you look at a kid's 1 year old, 2 years old, all they do is cry and make noise, or when they're 6, 7, they're making trouble and they're giving you challenges, and you say, really? But the truth is, with children, we see the potential that if you nurture them, if you water their seeds, so to speak, that you are going to get growing the most beautiful blossoming trees. And that's what we celebrate on Tu B'Shvat. And it's really important at this time, because you see, when you look at what's going on in Israel and you look at what's going on in the world, you see so much pain. You see 115 days of hostages. You see 300,000 people out of their homes in Israel because of rockets. You see a country under terror, and you say, what's going to be, right? But the truth is that you need to see the potential, and you need to see the positive. And something that really has touched me is to watch the Jewish people in the diaspora and Israel, and how they've rallied around each other with love, with understanding, with connection to our heritage and to our people. There's a guy I follow on Twitter since the war. His name is, I think, Joe Roberts, and he's the chair of Meretz in Canada, and he's been very vocal since October 7th, and now Meretz is a very left party, but yet he's been speaking for Israel and voicing constantly. And a couple of days ago, he wrote this most beautiful message. He said, I'm not a religious man, but he said, since October 7th, I say Shema twice a day. And he says, we've been doing Shabbat as a family. And he says, now we even begun doing the Havdalah service. And he asked where he could get a right book for the Shabbat and for Havdalah service. And it was so moving to me, because what he said was, we're not going to let them take away our identity. And what it made him and all of us realize is that the greatest thing we have is ourselves and each other and the love we have one for another. And the greatest potential for the Jewish people is the unity of the Jewish people. And many of the comments on what he wrote were so refreshing. This guy said, I started wrapping tefillin, someone else started lighting Shabbos candles. All the comments from all sides were so positive in our connection to spirituality and to Judaism. And that's the story of the Jewish people. Yes, it might be winter now. Yes, the trees are barren. By Sunday it's going to be cold and it'll be snowing again. It's winter. But the potential, the sap in the tree is there. And as Jews, we can't look at what we're seeing today in Israel and be down. We have to see the potential of the unity of the Jewish people and the strength we have. Another interesting thing is, we see all the demonstrations at Harvard and all these universities and all these radical people demonstrating against Israel and supporting Hamas. And you feel down. You feel like the world's against you. South Africa's taking Israel to court. South Africa, the biggest hypocrites, they're funded by Iran and they're funding Hamas. You think about Turkey and all these things and you get worried. But yesterday, or the day before, there was a poll that came out in America. And unequivocally, by overwhelming numbers, Americans support Israel. They support their war. They believe that Israel's trying not to hurt civilians. They believe that October 7th was a terrible terrorist attack and that Hamas is a terrible organization. Even in the young Gen Z, there was a majority. And especially as he got older. So yes, Sometimes you have to worry, but you also have to see the potential. You have to see what's really there. And I'll finish with one last thing that really touched me. On Monday was the yahrzeit of my grandfather, Eli Omenor, Eliyahu Omenor, my father's father. May his memory be a blessing. Zichronei Livracha. And since COVID, my family has been doing this Zoom in Israel where everyone gets together and they study Mishnayot, they study for the memory of my grandfather. And it's really moving to see all the different people. Some are Haredi, some live in Bnei Brak, some are secular, some are Dati Mizrahi. They're all kinds, and they're all united as a family, and we study. But this year they did something special. They made a slideshow of all my cousins' kids who are doing things in the army, and it was so moving. Pictures and videos, and what I didn't even know was that at least 5 of my first cousins' kids were literally the ones that went to Be'eri to rescue and to try to fight off Hamas. And made me think, sometimes we don't realize who we are, what we have, and who we're connected to. And this holiday, more than ever, should teach us the potential and the power of the unity of the Jewish people, and the must of us to be strong, to be united, to connect more to our soul, to our spirituality, and to be able to see the blossom of beautiful Israel, and it will continue to grow and be successful for decades and centuries to come. God bless.